If Jesus is the answer, what is the question? Right answers need right questions. 7 is the answer if that is the question. It isn't the right answer if that's not the question. So, is Jesus really the answer? After all, isn't belief in God just a crutch for the weak? There is no God and no need for one. After all, we're living in an enlightened age with science and technology lighting and leading the way, leading us away from this primitive concept, this primitive thing called God. Did not German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche famously proclaim God is dead back in 1882? Did not Mao Zedong reason that religion is poison and treat it as such during his Cultural Revolution? From 1966 to 1976, he purged China of it, destroying places of worship and religious texts and imprisoning, torturing and banishing to labor camps scores of religious leaders. Little wonder then that 60% of the world's religiously unaffiliated live in China. Well, Nietzsche is most certainly dead. Yes, he coined the famous quote, God is dead, but in the end, he wasn't even able to quote himself, suffering a mental breakdown prior to his death. Meanwhile, God is very much alive and kicking with 2.2 billion followers and counting. While most people don't know who Nietzsche is, by 2060, Christianity is set to remain the largest global belief system, with nearly 1 in 3 people on planet Earth being followers of Jesus. By 2060, the proportion of humanity identifying as atheists, agnostics, or none will have declined from 16% to 13%. Yes, you heard it right, declined. Meanwhile, though embalmed, Mao is also dead, and Christianity is the fastest growing religion in the state he founded. Estimated to be 68 million strong in 2010, China's Christian community has been projected to swell to 160 million by 2025. In other words, within just one generation of Mao's death, China, a country with state-enforced atheism, will surpass the US in having the largest population of Christians in the world, with the possibility of being majority Christian by 2050. This is reflected by statistics in Weibo, China's version of Twitter. A snapshot of it showed that God was mentioned more than 165 million times, more than 18 times compared to Mao Zedong. Christmas appears nearly 150 million times, 3 times more than Chinese National Day. Little wonder, Tozer said. Without doubt, the mightiest thought the mind can entertain is the thought of God, and the weightiest word in any language is its word for God. But belief in God is just a start, for it only invites the next question: which God? Are we dealing with an unknowable, impersonal force which set the world in motion with no further interaction? Are we dealing with innumerable parties who keep us in constant motion, trying to appease their infinite demands and preferences? Are we dealing with one whose perfection is unknowable, unquestionable, unapproachable, and must be obeyed? Or are we dealing with a person who is perfectly loving, wise and just, but so humble as to stoop to our doubts and even to wearing our flesh and shame to return us to his family? And in doing so, show us that not only that evil exists, but that love is stronger. That what ultimately matters is relationship, not rules, obedience through trust, not outcomes. Where doubt is possible because we can't know all the answers, but we can know the one who does. Yes, the existence of God matters, but perhaps the nature of God more so, as it tells us the story within which we live and the course we choose to plot our lives. If God doesn't exist, there's a huge void within us. There's no meaning, no higher purpose to our lives, just preferences. And preferences are not enough when you run up against the jagged edges of life. When you have to live out what ultimately matters. Because we are the handiwork of God, it follows that all our problems and their solutions are theological. God isn't just something people debate about. Your theology, your idea about God, if there is one, and what he, she, or it is core to how you think about and approach life. It is the foundation of your worldview. It is the foundation of your very being. And the more we do science, the more the existence of God persists, from the fundamental recognitions that the universe had a beginning through to intelligence and life being built on information, confirming the persistent truth in God's word, which said all of that in just one verse. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The persistence of God in humanity's minds and hearts are clues to his existence, and his existence is the key to our hurts and hopes. The persistence of God also reflects his unrelenting love that pursued us through the gates of hell to rescue us back. A love that not only bled, died, and rose again for his beloved, but one that still bears the scars on his body like seals of commitment for his beloved. Yes, Jesus is the answer to humanity's deepest questions, worldview questions which you and I need to fully explore and help others to do so. Life is lived out through questions. For all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, from the biggest questions to the smallest details, Jesus is the answer. But are you asking the right questions? Who is God? What's your answer?